International Day, right, Bishop?
Yes, 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 yes. It's our day, a part
Yeah,
of our month, a part of what should be all the time.
yep. So come on in, everybody. And do me a favor. I see everybody's coming in. Make sure you tag, uh, text, tell somebody, and that Bishop and I, Bishop Rosie O'Neill, Bishop. I would always think you would go with Bishop O'Neill, but you go with Bishop Rosie. How come you go with Bishop Rosie?
You know what? I don't. I think it's both. Sometimes people just do Bishop O'Neill, but I don't know. I think Bishop Rosie kind of rolls off the tongue a little easier. And
I
then people remember me as they remember the Rosie for whatever reason.
Well, I love the Bishop O'Neill and the Bishop Rosie. So I see folks coming in. Hey, let us know where you guys are coming in from, and of course, make sure you absolutely use the hashtag International Women's Day, Deborah's Army Dialogue. You can use it, and
Yes.
of course, we have our social media handle. I am Dr. Jazz and Bishop
Mhm.
at Bishop Rosie, so you can either check her out or check me out. And so, see, you got Jacqueline Johnson, Google from South Africa, Michelle Yarbrough. Hey, hey, hey. Who else is out there? Dr. Younger in Iowa. Good
All
to
right.
see you. Good to see you. Good to see you. Good to see you. And that's all from Trinidad. All right,
Okay.
Bates. All right. All right, good to see everybody. Come on in. We're gonna just have what we call a dialogue. So before we came on here, Bishop calls me and
Oh
she's
my gosh.
what are we talking about? She's like, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, listen, O'Neill, that's what I call her. So when I call, it's no disrespect. And she
That's
calls
right.
Jasmine, Jasmine, it's no disrespect. I say, O'Neill, it's a dialogue. It's not Bible study. It's not a 3 point sermon. It's dialogue. It's what I said, it's what we do every week, right?
Right, right. That's true. That's true.
We have a standard call every week, Thursday morning, where we just come on and we just have conversation about anything we want to talk about, primary
Yes.
leadership and church. And I said to her, O'Neill, I think the world needs to peep into these conversations because I think people will benefit from it
Yeah.
and gain. So that's what it is. So everybody, if you want to go to Bible study, Bishop got a sick Bible study on Facebook. What night is your Bible study?
We have it at 12 noon on Wednesday and 7 p.m.
All right, and mine is Tuesday at 12 noon and Tuesday at 7 p.m. And if you want to hear us in church, that's Sunday morning. What time is
Yes.
the service, Bishop?
9 and 12, same.
Same as mine,
Yeah.
9 and 12. But when we come on here on Monday after preaching on Sunday, we just having a dialogue. So
Dialogue.
how was your morning, my friend?
You know what? It was a good morning. I had my time with Dr. Alicia Britt Sholey, and she came so heavy my head started hurting. But other than that, then I worked out and got here. So it's been a good morning.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. How about you?
Oh, I had a great morning. It's crazy because I'm a strong workaholic or
Yes.
strong work thing. So this morning my devotion was on relaxing, and the confession was that it is okay to relax. It's okay
Yeah.
to relax. So Bishop, do you find it difficult to relax? Because I do. I'm always thinking. My brain is
Yeah.
always going. Do you find it difficult to relax?
I don't. I really do not. In fact, it's funny because my devotion was similar. Um, it was about understanding what really makes something holy. That it's not always the stuff that we think that we do that's holy or sacred. It could be the small moments of cuddling when you're with the twins, pouring into them. It could be relaxing. It could be sleeping. Sleeping can be holy and sacred because we got to take care of ourselves. So that redefinition. But no, Jazz, I'm not like you. You know, I'm not like you. And I call her, of course, no disrespect. I call her Jazz, and I said, look, I know how to get somewhere and sit down. So we're a little different on that one.
Yeah. Well, again, everybody, don't forget to use the hashtag it's International Women's Day. Bishop, have you ever done anything to observe International Women's Day? Have you?
You know what? Not like I think that I probably should have, Jazz. Because Doc, really, I'm just really getting into a real flow of women's issues as I kind of went into a whole other realm in my life and the way I thought. And of course, the Lord hooked me up with my BFF. And so you keep me mindful of it. And now, as we've seen so much, all the isms, racism, sexism, classism, all of that, I'm becoming much more sensitive in my older years because I'm starting to realize so many of the inequities, in pay. We've talked about it. We can go somewhere and preach and do something and not receive the same, and so the more I'm aware of it, the more I see the reason to stand up. And I think, what did I send you? The thing today is I'm gonna take a picture with my fist up like that because it's what is it?
Choose,
Challenge,
yeah, choose
truth
the
challenge,
challenge. So
choose
yeah,
challenge.
tell me about that because I saw it in my and I said I'll wait till we come on. So what's the choose the challenge?
Well, all that I was able to see about it was about women understanding the power that we have and the responsibility that we have to stand up against things that are wrong and be comfortable with who we are and the way we're able to stand up. And so it's really about not letting these things go because, women are much like African Americans in some ways. We're some forgiving folks. We just let it, oh, well, don't worry about it. Well, no, we have a tendency to say, well, it's okay. Well, no, it's not okay. And we have to be okay with saying it's not okay.
Yeah, I think you so we might as well make the choose the challenge the hashtag because I know
Mhm.
about that because for me, I call you screaming all the time when I see injustice in regards
Yeah.
to women equality, women opportunity, especially in the profession that I'm in. And at first, I would just be sitting there like just holding it in. And then after a while, in fact, honestly, O'Neill, this is why this leadership dialogue came about because I called you screaming, screaming. And then the Lord's like, why don't you create a platform or a space where you can be engaging and have a conversation about
Right.
it? So, and this is how we rub off of each other because
Right.
you bring me down because I'm like the Harriet Tubman maybe I want a gun.
Right. 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 Rifle. Oh my.
I-
Yeah.
and I think when I look at my life, I think it stemmed from um, I told you about this rejection thing, when I
Hmm.
got called to this church, or the whole rejection from my childhood all the way, and sometimes I would see it through the eyes of rejection. I'm not saying people are rejecting you when you
Right.
say that, but you have that bias or that lens that you see it
Yeah.
from.
Yeah.
And when I talk to you, you're like, well, no, 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 So I guess our upbringing is different.
But you know what, Jazz, Dr. Jazz, I do think that the pain that you've experienced and many of us have experienced, God just allowed a fighter to go through it so that a fighter could come forth.
Mm,
And, you're right. Instead of us, and I loved what you said, instead of us sitting around wondering, okay, why are you seeing all these major conferences and not seeing any women truly represented? Truly.
right.
Why is that the case? Well, instead of fussing and whining and the whole 9 yards, we make our appropriate voice about it, but
Right.
let's create a platform
Yeah.
because there are some women that are killing it in this season in their professions, whether they are working with, teams. In fact, I mean, we're seeing it. What we had the woman that was on the Super Bowl. I mean, refing that. You
Yeah.
got women in sports as over areas in football and basketball and all these things. You've got women in corporate world and even in our field. There
Yeah.
are women who lead and are doing amazing things in their pastorate and
Yeah.
in the Episcopal office. So I love this.
Yeah, and this morning at my 6:30, I said, I know everybody's stuck on the fact that Jesus had 12 disciples, but I always say he had 15.
That's right. Bring
12
it.
brothers and three sisters, and I was only stuck on Mary Magdalene. I'd like to get your take on this, because for me, every time every gospel talk about Mary Magdalene, Bishop, they just always got to put a comma after her name and say, out of whom came seven devils. Now, they didn't say David, I'm going,
Had to have had. So that's right.
they didn't say Abraham, comma, we said
Liar. Right.
right. Well, but every time we come to Mary Magdalene, it's like, okay, what's up with that? Why you keep bringing up, putting shade? You know,
Yeah. That's a little messy. It is. But we received the truth of God in scripture written by the hand of man. So I maybe it's important for us to know it, but I'm with you. I'm kind of like that about Bartimaeus. They always say blind Bartimaeus. I said, wait a minute. Why can't we call him hearing Bartimaeus? Why must we name everybody by what's wrong with them? The man could
right,
walk. I mean, he could do a whole lot of things. Why do we want
right,
to label him by the one thing he doesn't have? And I think we have
right.
to reject that. And so I hadn't thought about that with Mary Magdalene, but you know what? My girl shamed everybody when she went to that tomb with them spices.
Yep,
The thing that I loved about her was, and I
yep,
remember preaching this one that she didn't even expect him to get up. That's just that one thing. But she loved him so much, she took care of what she thought was about to decay. That's
yep.
pure love. So
Yes.
she's always gonna be a favorite to me.
I know. So my Old Testament is Deborah, and my New Testament girl is Mary Magdalene, for absolutely sure. And hey, everybody, thanks for joining us. Just having a leadership dialogue with Bishop.
Yeah.
Well, Bishop, before the pandemic, we all were in our offices and running our churches or corporation from our office physically,
Yeah.
and then the pandemic hit, and I call this called leading from home. So everybody put it in the chat.
Yeah.
Leading from home. Now, I will confess, since COVID-19, I have not been in my office. And that's my office. Now I have a home office like
Yeah.
you, and then I have an office where my staff met. And I am going one year, and I don't even think I've drove by the office. I don't even know if my key still work. But every time I talk to you,
I'm at church. Yeah, I unfortunately I really have not. Nothing has really changed for me like that. I have been at church. I'm at church now. I mean, we have done so much work in the church, um, because we are now moving to the hybrid model. And one of the things, as we talked about last time, you shared with me, you were the first person I heard to say it, is we have to pivot. And so one of the things that we have done is taken this time to position the church to be able to handle the new hybrid model.
yeah,
I think we had a question on last week. I hope she asked it again.
yes,
Um, but we had a question on how are we handling it now with the coronavirus and the changes. So what we have done is to work on the sanctuary, the lighting, rerouting all of the wiring so that we can do video from anywhere within the sanctuary, and also making sure that our journey building has a generator. We're about to get one for this building, doing those kinds of things, as well as now bringing on staff that could create excellence for the virtual experience.
right. Hmm.
So that for me has kind of necessitated me being back and forth. And, we really, in fact, our staff came back on March 1st.
Wow,
Yeah,
fantastic.
yeah,
Oh, that's great. And you use the word pivot because we both played ball and
yeah.
a little bit of ball, got a little bit of skill and stuff. And I learned to really, everybody know Bishop Rosie O'Neill is an avid golfer. She's amazing golfer. And
I'm decent. I'm a bogey golfer.
no, she got some serious thing. And one of the things we learn in the Gulf is that sometimes you just have to make some adjustment.
Yes, sir.
I think in this season, if you're going to be productive and successful
Yeah.
as a leader, not only should you be pivoting in some things, it's also making some adjustment.
Right.
What adjustment have you had to make in terms of leading Cornelia, which you do amazingly well?
Thank you. Um, I have had to make sure I am a relational leader.
Mm,
And, I think there are all kinds of leaderships styles, but I'm a relational leader. And so being unable to hug, being unable to be with people was a challenge. So what I started doing, like we've got some family reunions coming up. That's what we're calling them. Our church is divided into major zones and then diaconate zones. So, for us, if a person's last name, let's say is Baldwin, they may be in the A to BR. That's a zone with a deacon, an elder, and me.
mhm,
Okay. And so we have, maybe 40 or so zones. All right. Every one of those has a deacon or a zone leader, and then an elder, and then me. So family reunions for us are an opportunity for me to do Zooms where I can accommodate the people and look at them and see them, and we can laugh and we can talk.
mhm,
That's the kind of adjustment I've had to make. I've
mhm,
had to make an adjustment in the way we delegate funding.
mm,
Yeah, because I don't need as much. I need more technical people. So since the pandemic, I've had to hire 3 full-time staff members,
mm.
but they're all in technical areas.
Yeah.
Technical, then I've had to make sure that I had, I'm sorry, 3 full-time and one almost full-time with stipend with missions and outreach. So and I think women are good at this. I think women are very good at realizing something has shifted
Yeah.
and now I need to make some adjustments. I
Yeah.
think we're good at that just by nature,
Yeah.
because we go through the most changes,
Yes.
right? We have times of the month, we have things that had, praise the Lord, times of the month, those kinds of things. And so we're able to pick up on stuff
Mhm.
and make the adjustment. And it takes courage, but we have that. We have that.
Yeah, I think the biggest adjustment that I've had to make for me in my own leadership, well, first of all, let me say I am not a hugger. What was the phrase that you made? You how
Relational leader.
you're a relational leader. I
Yes.
am more like a goal oriented leader. Hey,
Hmm.
listen, here's the end zone. Here is the play, and I'm gonna get the ball to where I need to get to,
Right, right.
and thing. And yesterday I told my church, I said, one of the blessing about this virtual space is I can hug you guys now digitally. And and when you come and preach for us when we were in the building, they
Yeah.
will look forward to you not just preaching, but they'll get all that hug from you
Yes,
and
indeed.
stuff like that. But what I do understand is you have to be authentically you in whatever lane. Because I'm not the best hugger, but Bishop, you give the best hugs.
But you know what, Dr. Jazz? I remember teaching, and this was one of those lessons that I feel, sometimes when you preach, you step back and you say, now, I know God spoke that thing. Well, I talked about the way that Paul loved versus Barnabas.
Yep.
And both of them loved the people, both of them cared, but they had different styles. And like
Yes.
what I've told you before, I said, listen, you are a very loving person. The way you show it is by being diligent. The way you show it is by getting the team or the army to win the battle. And hey, I'm a very loving person. I just have a different style. And I
Yeah.
think that what we have to do, what is leadership? It's like we talked about last time, it's influence, but it's
Yeah.
more than that. It's when that influence is trusted and understood and followed. But you got to know yourself. We've each had to come to that point where we understand what are my strengths.
Yeah.
Okay. What are my weaknesses or opportunities to grow? Let me invest time where I'm strong and push that and let my strength pull me out of my weakness.
Yeah.
And I think we work to do that.
Yeah. And it's
Yeah,
so crazy. We develop staff. Like my staff is they haven't even have a conversation about when we going into back into the building. Because leading from home to me works for me. I
yeah,
haven't seen my staff all year unless in Zoom or you know what I'm saying, but in a building to
yeah,
no, I haven't seen them. And it works well for me. Now, of course, there's some you know, there's some positive and there's some negative, like with everything, but
yeah. Like
it
what it?
it, it works for us, just like your style of leadership of going into
Hmm.
Cornelia and your staff comes in since March 1st, works for you.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, I just think everybody have to find their niche. So it's not a one size fit all, right, Bishop?
Mm-mm. It's not. I really, and I think women in particular, since it's International Women's Day, I think we have to know that okay, one size does not fit all, and since it does not, that doesn't mean there's something wrong with our style.
Right.
And because we were, I have two sons, and the way people raise sons is different from the way they raise daughters.
Mm,
Okay, women with daughters are trying to train them, and women with sons, they just love them, as they grow.
mm,
Totally different. And so when they're dealing with women, it's like, hey, you need to make sure you do this, and you need to stop that, and you don't need to do that. And we, in generally,
mm-hmm,
we are always trying to fix anything wrong.
mm-hmm.
Well, what happens, I think, in leadership is we're so busy trying to fix all the areas where we're weak. And I'm not saying you shouldn't care about them, but you never build on their strengths.
Right. Right.
You know your strength.
Right.
Maybe you could work on hugging, but you don't need to go into a year-long intensive trying to learn to hug when you could when you can build on your strength, and
Right.
it'll come when it comes.
Right.
So I'm hoping that the ladies that are listening to us, or guys, no matter who's listening, that
Right.
you will understand, build on your strengths, push that, and
Yes.
then hire for your weaknesses.
Yeah. So you lead from your strength and you build your staff around your weakness. So, you know, I
Yeah,
tell people, I'm not saying I'm the greatest preacher, but I don't need another preacher on my staff. Like you were saying, you hiring digital folks.
right,
And for me, what I had was a pastoral care person.
right,
'Cause, it's been a year. I think I've done two funerals. I have, you passed
right.
here, but I didn't look for any digital people because I practically, you
That's
know,
right,
yeah, I'm a student and my staff is heavy digitally. But what I needed, the area I needed was pastoral care, somebody who let people know to reaching out to them and
right.
touching with them and connecting with them. So that makes a very, very good point. Hey Bishop, you've been pastoring for what, over 30 years, leading
Yes, 32 years.
32 years, the same church.
Yep.
Yeah, and I'm this is my third rodeo, my last one. How have you seen your leadership change from when you started to now, if there's any change? Have you seen any changes?
I have. I am still relational by nature. I am,
Yes.
and I was that way initially. Um, I still have the same basic focuses. I'm a teacher, and I love people, and I try to make things very applicable to life. Where I
Mhm.
have seen my leadership change is I've been called into more of the business aspect of ministry. And so what as you know, we are about to build 126 townhomes. So we're entering
Yeah.
into like a 13 or so $1 million project. All
Yeah.
right. And so I'm having to work with those kinds of things.
Yeah.
I'm, having to develop and staff our CDC and partnering with, president of the hospital and people like that. So whereas at one point it was just all about the 7 members we had, and then
Yeah.
as we grew, it's still all about the members and caring for the members and like a mom to some degree, wanting to care for them, then a fathering nature to want to see leaders grow. But now I'm seeing that God is making me look way over into
Yeah.
the future and start looking at some of the more business elements, the business kind of financial elements, to keep the church moving, particularly as I'm coming up on retirement in 4 years.
Wow.
Yeah, I have, let's see, this is March, right? So December 14th, 2025, 4 years and maybe what, 9 months. So as I'm moving toward retirement, I want to make sure that I leave this church strong. Now, I mean, I'll still be here as a member
Yeah.
and pastor emeritus and the whole nine, but I want to make sure that they are as strong as can be. And
Yeah.
so that's necessitating developing city partnerships, developing that community development center, developing financial streams to
Yeah.
help support. Because anytime a founder steps away,
Yeah.
there's going to be an initial drop, and
Yeah.
then we pray for it to shoot back up. But we're preparing for that.
Yeah, somebody's asking us about our mentorship program. Hey, we don't know where this is going, but we had one, 2 years ago, at Deborah's Army, 3 years ago, maybe longer than that, Deborah's
Yeah, it's been a
Army.
minute.
you know but I like what you talked about, how you are in the business side of it. When you and I talk again, this is why we anchor and sail, because
Yeah,
uh i am a I am a builder of people than rather than a builder of steeple. Building a building will pluck my last nerve.
you
I told
should
you,
be great at it, though.
I went to my one architect drawing meeting, and I swear I needed therapy after that. Who spends an hour? Who spends an hour trying to figure out where to put one door? I'm like, just put the door where, and
But you know what, Dad? Let me say this. I do know you're a builder of people. I give you that, but I'm gonna say this. The initial, what I think you are good. You are a general. You're a young general, and I have to give you your props now because you're younger than I am, which I don't appreciate. But anyway, you are a general, and you could build. You really could. It just ain't your thing. Because
right,
I'm not gonna get into where the doors are. What I'm gonna do when we got ready to build this particular building, um, like I didn't really have anything to do with what they put in the other two buildings we just built. Oh, I didn't care. I was like, wait a minute, just get it built right. I like to know there are quality products in it. It's solid. I want that. But
right,
as it related to building here, we pulled a team together, and you are phenomenal leading a team. Pulled a team together and started having them talk to ministries about what they needed. Then they hashed through where the doors needed to go. You
yeah.
would be amazing at that. And if the Lord gives it to you, I'll be there by your side. I'll call you periodically.
That's I'm gonna need it. So I know my leadership has changed over time, because I used to be more of a hands-on, but now, after
Yeah,
5 years, there's just some things I allow my team to do. And I think it's Bishop Jakes who said this. Oh, I can't remember, but you gotta inspect what you expect. Have you
mhm.
heard that you inspect what, if you have expectation from different people who are in key position, you inspect what you
Yeah.
expect.
You don't get what you expect. You get what you inspect.
Yeah, and I tend
Yeah.
to inspect it, and once I inspect it and I see the person is on the right path, I really don't get back into it. I let that
Right.
person drive
Right.
that to the finishing line. Hey, everybody, we just having a dialogue, a leadership dialogue, Bishop and I, and we are on both platform, because what we're trying to do
Yeah.
is what you normally don't see women doing, and that is a merger. Now, it doesn't
Right.
mean, my Bishop, it doesn't mean that she's going to shut down Bishop Rosie. I'm going to shut down, I am Dr. Jazz. We just decided that, hey, we can do
Oh
this
yeah.
together. And so we so grateful for our staff behind the scenes
Yes.
has connected both our Facebook and our
Yeah.
YouTube and our IG, so we can bring it to everybody. But you can put some questions in the chat. We've got a few minutes for if you would like to start raising some question. So Bishop, 4 years. How
Hmm.
many more months that
Nine.
are you retiring or are you repositioning?
I'm repositioning, but I think it's important for the people that I'm leading, because I am so relational, to make them understand the word retirement.
Mm,
Because though I am just repositioning and restructuring, I'll be bishop, but I will not be involved in directing the church. You understand? I'll be over the board, but
yeah,
the board is to help bring to pass what the pastors want.
yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I use that term because I want people to understand there will be a transition of leadership.
Hmm.
And, and I was going to say something, Dr. Jazz. You were talking about getting to the point where you don't micromanage. I think that's critical for any person that's going to be in leadership.
Right,
You're going to micromanage when you do not trust the person to be able to carry out the task. But at the point where they prove that they, now again, notice this, not you don't trust them personally, but trust them to carry out the task.
right.
So we only want to stay involved as a leader. I only want to stay involved till I know that they can handle it. Then I need to let go so that I can put my attention somewhere else. And I think that takes a lot of faith and good oversight. So I'm like that as well.
As soon as you said that, because I'm an avid reader, just like you are
Yeah.
an avid reader. And Craig Rochelle has his new book out, entitled "With Something with Your Mind." I can't remember
Mhm.
the exact. It went into war in your mind or something.
Okay.
But I was listening to him because I loved listening to podcasts and stuff
Yeah.
like that. And he said something as soon as you mentioned this thing about
Micromanaging.
micromanaging. He talks about these different things that can trip us up as leaders. And I did the test, and maybe on Friday or something like that. And he said that most of us battle with either as a leader our own insecurity. We don't
Mhm.
think that we are. I know for me, I have to remind myself, hey, I saw what's his name, Snooky Norfolk this morning. Calm
Mhm.
down, you've got this.
Yeah.
Right.
Wow.
To not second guess yourself or
Mhm.
doubt your ability. And I see everybody's asking some questions, so
Uh-huh.
we'll get to you. But again, one of the things he said is sometimes as leaders, we deal with this thing is no one can do it as well as I can.
That's right.
Okay. No one can do it as well as I can. And
You
let
gotta
me
get
tell you,
past
this weekend I woke up this morning with a crook in my neck that
it.
I can't wait to go to CVS and get me some heating pad because since COVID, that's the only place I go to is maybe CVS. I don't
Yeah.
even go to the store, but that whole thing about nobody can do it as well as I can. So Saturday about 6 o'clock, I mean, I hit the wall. You trying to call me?
Yeah.
I was in bed at 6:15 because I was trying to do too much stuff. I had the
Right.
twins and I was trying to manage some stuff with the church and manage this and that like that. And I had to get to the point where I said, listen, they may not be able to do like I can do it, but you got to let them do it
That's
because
right.
you are going to kill yourself trying to do it.
And you will limit yourself. I'm so glad you brought that up, Jazz, Dr. Jazz. It is so critical that we get to a place of maturity enough to let people do it, even if it's not the exact way we would do it.
Right.
That, because that is what makes us narrow. And I've gone through that. Like, I have a sense of music. I can't play really, but I
Yeah.
have the ear. And I can hear something and go, I don't think that's the best. But I have to say, Rosie, wait a minute. Your input at this level is not important. Let them do it. Maybe this will be a Sunday you don't like the songs, but
Right.
let them do it, because we make our church or our organization have to be small if we have to be in everything,
Right.
and it will kill us after a while.
Yeah.
Now, Jeff, we do have some
Okay,
questions.
so I got a couple of questions I'm going to show
Yeah.
you, but let me do a disclaimer, y'all. This is our thing, and we will not be able to answer all of the questions now. And Bishop and I approach this social media thing differently because I'm not going back to revisit all of the questions. But what we
Yeah.
will have is later on, our plan is to have something what we call, we did it a couple of years ago, Deborah's
Mhm.
Army, where you'll get a chance to spend a weekend with us, and we will be able to really dialogue with you. But there are some questions we can
Yeah.
absolutely take. But I want everybody to know now. Bishop might go on her
Yeah.
platform and answer all of these questions.
Oh, we'll get to it. All
Okay,
right, Jazz, I'm gonna ask you the first one.
okay.
Okay.
What is the one word of advice you would tell our young ladies about becoming leaders? My one word is be authentically, a phrase. Be you.
That's it. That was
Authentically
good.
you. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, and I think that really is the issue because if they are authentically who they are, there's a confidence. You can't beat me being me. You
You
may
can
be able to beat me trying to be Dr. Jazz, but you can't beat me being me. So be
nope.
yourself.
Yep. All
And
yes,
Jazz,
the
what are some of the? I see one. What are some of the challenges you face being a woman in leadership?
Let me say this, Tara Jones, thanks for asking that question. The biggest thing for me that has surprised me from my perspective from being a woman in leadership is that my biggest headache came from other women. That was the biggest challenge for me. That focused more on my external or my marital status, or those things. That was my biggest headache that I had for many, many years. Now it's my biggest challenge may be delegating. That's mine. What about you,
Mhm.
Bishop?
Um, I don't know. Some of the challenges, of course, would be yes, yeah, probably what you said, people's perceptions. And again, that just goes back to being authentically you and being okay with that, being okay with them having their doubts and you focusing on what you know God has called you to do, whether that's in the church or whether that's in an organization, being on top of what you do, know your stuff. And then eventually they'll have to say, like Jesus told them, either you can believe me or believe me for the work's sake.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Now there's another question up here. Oh, you got something else, Dot?
It's coming up. I'll bring them all on the screen. And let me say, Tara Jones, let me say this. I never have to defend your leadership as a woman. I learned, oh my gosh, that's what I'll say. Don't, you never
Yeah,
have.
don't even go into it.
Yep. All right. You're
Uh,
gonna have to answer this one because my
okay,
let me read this one because my
I
children
see it.
are all digital. How do I accent my strength as a usher? It's been frustrating sometimes. It's just me and been serving through the pandemic. Oh my goodness. So I'll let you handle that one.
Okay. First of all, when I read that question, I was getting ready to say it. Being an usher is a phenomenal blessing. We know that Samuel, initiated. He's the doorkeeper in the house of God. It is a ministry where you have to be sensitive, as you would know, to what people may be feeling as you place them where they need to be. It is understanding that in some ways, particularly if there's not a lot there, that you are both an usher, you're to some degree security, you're like the mother on the wall, the watchman on the wall. It's really about keeping it as unto the Lord and understanding that you're there because people need guidance and lovingly serve them like you would Christ. It's just really about offering it up as worship. And my question is, if God said, I want you to worship me, and what he meant was to lift your hands, you do that, no doubt. Okay. If God says, I want you to worship me, and that meant running to the store and it was going to tire you out, it's going to tire you out, but this is worship. You would do that. So if God says, I need you to be a doorkeeper in my house and support the ministry of that place, helping to put people where they should be and lovingly guide them, because remember, the church to the other people is you and that pastor, the ushers and the pastor. You become that face. So if God says, I need you to do that with this kind of attitude, it's worship to me, then let every bit of the irritation be what is wrapped up as your sacrifice as you give that to God. That's what I would say.
Yeah, that's fantastic. If I can throw a piece of wood in here,
You better throw some wood.
I like what you're saying at the bottom, Mr. Thomas or Gina Thomas, and that
Uh-huh.
it's just me and been serving through the pandemic, and I think you're not a usher, but you're a servant. And I
Mm,
think in this thing, when Bishop and I go back to the beginning of conversation, this season in the pandemic, being an usher, pivoting is going to be a lot. You
yes,
know, Bishop, we haven't talked. Maybe we'll pick it up on next Monday because church is not going to be what it used to look like. And people who might have been in position of serving, like ushers or greeters, going to have to pivot, or in the word, they're going to have to make some adjustment.
adjustments.
You know what I'm saying? And so, yeah. And whenever you are bringing about different change or having to pivot or adjust, it sometimes can
Uncomfortable.
be frustrating.
That's
But
true.
your heart is serving. And
Yeah,
if your heart is still serving, my goodness, the
that's right.
frustration is going to subside
That's right.
eventually because your heart is in the right place.
That's
Does that
right.
make sense, Bishop?
Oh, it does. That's, I thought it was excellent.
Yep.
Yes, indeed.
All
Oh, they
right.
want to, you see that next question? They want to know what will be put in place to adapt to your retirement. Well, one of the things that I am doing is I have already shared with the church the model that we are taking. We are taking what I've termed, it's called the Willow Creek model, where you have a primary teaching pastor and an executive pastor. I have that same executive pastor right now, and I am training them all along the way. The church already knows who they are, and they're beginning to get adjusted. So, the one of the things I'm going to do as well is I will be gone for 3 months. They won't see Bishop for maybe six. It just depends. I'll be sending my tithe home, but I will be gone. I want them to adjust to them. So we're working that through, and this has been a 7 year process. So by the time I get ready for that date, I will. It's kind of like if my picture is this big, theirs will be this big, and pretty soon it'll look like that. So
Mhm.
we're getting the congregation prepared.
Yeah, Bishop, that is so so many pastors or leaders die in their seat. They hold on to it and they won't let it go.
Yeah,
And since I've known you, you've been training like all of us. Eventually, we all going to have to hand the mic over. Eventually, we all going to have to, train up that Joshua to take
that's
that
right.
place. I remember when I was the daughter of thunder. Now I'm the mother of thunder,
Yeah.
and to see all these young, amazing, gifted people.
Yes.
I know you might have read the book about From Success to Significance. You know that our first 50
Mhm.
years of our life was about success, and now the second 50 is about significant and a successor. Because I read this quote years ago: "Success without a successor is still a failure."
Still a failure.
And everybody, that's why we are on a Monday after this tiring weekend, because we want to leave something with you that when
Right.
we're gone, which when we're like 120, we're not trying to leave anytime soon. I'm not. I'm not. But when we do go, we would leave something. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. There's somebody else here. Okay. Alice Lawson, the mentorship program won't be till like later on. Bishop and I still
Yeah.
talking about it. So we promise we'll let you know. So hold your coins. I mean, hold.
Yes.
Okay, let's see. I don't know if this is a question. Okay, somebody just said they're glad for the conversation. Stop being in unison and look for. Okay, all right, fantastic. Okay, let me keep it going.
Gotcha. So yeah, I just my goal is to see, as you said, to see people become comfortable and start investigating their strengths and start reading more and really giving themselves over to whatever your field is. Because everybody, we happen to be leaders in the church world, but there may be some of you that are over companies. Study, read literature, listen to things, expand yourself so that you have access to things.
Yeah,
And see, the better we are, the better opportunity we have to lead.
right.
So they want to know how come people don't understand church won't be the same. The world is going so fast, it's hard for people to take it in. Now,
Yeah,
I do believe we'll be back in the sanctuary and worshiping, and that will return, but it will never just be that. It will always have to be that and then broadcast out. And then, if we don't begin to see people as individual Christians, doing ministry and sharing their faith, the Christian faith is going to take a hit because we're
Yeah,
not being as vocal. We're I don't know what you're seeing where you are, Dr. Jazz, but it seems like people are thinking, upon this rock I'll build my church, and the gates of hell will not prevail. And what they're saying, they're seeing gates around the church, not gates around hell.
right.
They're thinking we're supposed to be in like this. I think it's time for us to just dive into whatever field we're in and break out and start using our influence.
Yeah.
I just think we've got to do that, and they're having a hard time seeing it.
Yeah, and I've had this dialogue with you, and I've had this dialogue with several other pastors. I'm using it in a loose sense of the definition of kingdom citizens.
Okay.
Now, as painful as the pandemic is, with 500,000 people have lost their lives, and so many people have lost their jobs, and so many things, this pandemic has broadened my understanding of kingdom citizen. And I think, honestly, as transparent as I can be, is that uh, we had tend to focus, I'm talking general, not everybody, focus on membership more than discipleship.
Yes,
So
you're
when
right.
I say there is church is not going to be the same, what I'm saying for me, I can only speak for me, is the emphasis is on the Matthew 28 of discipleship. Go and make
Yeah,
disciples.
yeah, yeah,
Not membership, but the discipleship. And I think as we develop now after COVID, because there's some amazing thing has happened for our churches. More people are sharing Christ. Listen, with family, O'Neill.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm seeing it.
And I was talking to this lady a couple of weeks ago, and she said that she had deacons who didn't know how to lead their family in devotion.
Hmm.
And you remember that, and again, I'm just talking from what my lens that
Yeah,
I'm in. They can pray for everybody in the church, but can't lead their own family, can't
yeah,
minister to their family. So now I am building the kind of ministry that if you never come back in the building, this is just
right.
if you never come back in the building, that I have equipped you to, if you're somebody in your house sick, you don't even have to call no deacon, you don't have to
Yeah,
call no elder.
come
You
on
can
here.
just call me, you get you some oil.
Yes, yes, that is amazing. And
Yeah,
that's what we have to do. It really is about discipleship. And you know what? It's no different in corporate. If you
right.
don't develop a culture where people feel empowered to do their job, if they're not empowered, they don't know what the real vision is, if they don't have a sense of it, they've got to have it. I love that discipleship. All right,
Hey,
God bless
you
you,
see
Dr.
this?
Andy Davis.
Miss Annie Davis, I love and appreciate you as a new pastor at 71
Come
years
on here.
old. Y'all put some
Come
heart up there
on.
for Annie Davis. Whoa, 71 years
Come
old.
on. Come
First of all,
on.
you don't even look like it,
Uh-uh.
but
Mm-mm.
wow.
Wow. Love it. Love it. Love
Oh,
it.
isn't that amazing? Okay, we got time for one
That's
more
amazing.
question.
One more.
One more, because Bishop, she worked out today, holding that
Yeah.
is in South Africa. Sorry, Google. All right, let me get this one. We have time for one more question. And we're so sorry, the lady last week, I didn't take it down. But if
I
you
did write it.
do, we will answer it. All right, one more question. While they're getting that question, Bishop, any final thought?
No, no, I don't. I enjoyed as I'm looking at some of these comments. It's so awesome to see that people do care about leadership because we really do need to use our influence. And whatever level that is, it's time to have confidence and move forward. So, yeah.
Yeah, well, everybody, thanks for joining us. Bishop, I love dialoguing with you, and I don't want you to be stressed out. Everybody put a blue heart in there for me. I mean, blue heart. And I was thinking about you when you called me, and you were like, hey, what? And I said, my leadership. my leadership is exciting to me, but it can be frustrating to people around me, especially because I tend to jump out of a plane, and halfway out of the plane, I like reach back and get the parachute. So I was like, what is she? Just let's
I
jump.
was having a fit. I was like, well, what's our angle today? And what are we going to be working on? And oh my gosh, I love it. I
But
love it.
I mean, we sail what you call a sailing anchor.
A sail. Dr. Jazz is a sail, and I am an anchor. And one other thing that I think is this is what I would close with, Dr. Jazz. That is also why it's important that you develop friendships or partnerships of some sort, relationships of some sort with people who are different.
Yeah,
Because if you are only around, thank you, Mary, thank you, Mia, and everybody, if you are only around people who are just like you, where is your growth curve?
right,
Where is your opportunity to grow?
right.
So, y'all, I thank you for those blue hearts.
Yes, yes. Thank y'all. Hey, listen, we'll see you guys on next Monday again.
Next Monday.
Same time. Hey, if we're a little late, it's digital. Oh, she was going.
I
Uh,
don't like to be late. I
she.
was having a fit, and it was my fault because I couldn't get my background together, and I just was. I don't like to be late, and we appreciate you all. And Dr. Jazz again, even though you're a BFF, and I don't see, I realize we don't see each other about twice a year,
Mhm.
but I really appreciate you pushing us out to do something like this so that I love purple too, Kathy, so that we can have this kind of dialogue in the virtual space. Thank you for being a great sale.
Oh, well, thank you for being an anchor. I appreciate you. My life is better. Look at Pastor Vita. This is all my equal people, Pastor
Come
Nico
on now.
Brown.
Yeah.
I see y'all. I see y'all. I see y'all. All right. Hey, don't forget you can check this out on Facebook, YouTube,
Yes.
IG, and of
Share
course
it.
our Bishop Rosie on Facebook, on YouTube,
Hmm.
on IG, and of course you can find me on I am Dr. Jazz. We're gonna continue this dialogue on Monday at 12 o'clock. So
Hmm.
share, subscribe, and if you feel led to support us, all the information our digital people is posting it in there if you feel led to support us financially. In the
And
meantime,
was that question by Jacqueline Austin
where is
True
that?
last week?
Where is it?
I just saw the name and I thought I remembered something like that name for
Bishop,
that question from last
only you can remember last week. I don't even remember yesterday.
week. You a mess.
I have
Okay.
okay, let me see if I see her.
I
All right.
saw I saw the person.
Uh-huh. Is it Jacqueline? What?
I'm just if that's you and you're still watching and you were the one with the question, just put yes, it was me. And then if you would, you can just let it post it somewhere so we can have it because we really do want to make sure that you get your questions answered. That's why we're looking at this Deborah's Army because we want to be able to help lift up the next generation of male and female leaders.
Yes.
So that's our goal.
Yep, our goal is to have a wonderful time with each of you one weekend to just pour into you, and then because
Yeah.
sometimes it's difficult to answer all these questions
Mhm.
in the digital space on Facebook because then we have to get clarity and go back and all those things. But it's coming.
It's
We just
coming.
wanted to test the ground and see if anybody knew who we were.
Yeah.
Okay,
All
Jacqueline, it was not her, because
right.
I think that's my Jacqueline. I know her from our
That's yours.
yep, yep,
All
yep.
right.
Right, but God bless you all. Bishop, I love you.
Love you
Virtual
back.
hug. This is the only way I hug. Virtual
Surely
hug.
is.
Everybody, thanks everybody. God bless you all. Have a
Thank you.
fantastic day.
Yes, indeed, guys.